And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Right Side. If that's unnaturally cheerful, you're right. How are y'all? I'm Amy Beth Shaver with JP, still missing our partner in crime, who did just make a little quick phone call to JP. So we will see the fruits of that later this week, because it may have been Memorial Day yesterday, but Memorial Day is part of the reason why we do what we do. We can't let the sacrifice of our forefathers and our grandparents and grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, we can't let that go in vain. And so that's why we're here, to conserve and preserve democracy. I'm serious, not democracy. I hate that word, the republic. Democracy is what liberals say when they want and actually mean fascism. It's fine. It's early. I started early, guys. Okay. All right. I'm going to back up. Coffee just hit splashdown. Also, I was looking for a picture before the show, and JP was very patient with me because we need it for something Chris and I are doing. And don't you hate it, you guys? When you can't find something you're looking for and you saved it and you still can't find it? Or is that just me?
No, it drives me nuts too.
And my husband very pleasantly suggested that I just screenshot it. He's not wrong. The problem is I go through and delete at least once a week all the excess screenshots.
Really? Oh, I don't.
And I may or may not have deleted this picture that I need, because they need it today. They need an answer today. And I'm stressed. It's fine. JP.
Hey, we're going to have a great show.
We are going to have a great show, actually.
So I actually am one that does not delete like duplicate screenshots or saved videos, whatever. And my phone hasn't been backed up in like 5 years because of it. But do you want to guess how many pictures I have in my camera roll?
How many pictures do you have in your camera roll? 100,000.
Well, let me actually get to where I can. I don't know where you go to.
Like, I don't have a frame of reference for what are the average number of pictures that people have on their phone. What's a lot? I'm going to say 100,000.
I don't even know where you get to see all of the. Oh, okay. I got it here.
You got it?
I think.
Where do I go?
I don't know.
Look.
Holy crap, dude. There's so many.
What is it?
I don't know where to go to find the actual number. But here, I'll just
This is a good word.
I'll show you.
JP. That is a lot. That's a lot of pictures.
That goes all the way back to 2019.
Dude.
Yeah.
Bless it all.
And the earliest pictures on my camera roll are from pictures of my 8th grade DC trip.
JP?
That actually got me into politics.
How many years ago was that?
That was 2017.
So 9 years ago?
Yeah.
When my oldest graduated from high school?
There's middle school JP in front of the Washington Monument.
Hey, JP, did you have more of a Southern accent when you were younger?
No, actually. I don't know.
Have a neutral accent like me.
Yeah. Well, when I say certain things, it comes out like and others, it comes out. But I don't naturally just have a constant Southern accent. No. Southern.
Did you say that on purpose, Southern?
No.
By the way, everybody, we do have allegedly today.
Yeah, we do.
And I'm going to just go ahead and say it, because my allegedly is going to be kind of dicey because of that fool James Talrico. But I just wanted to say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And so I see that there are T-shirts out there with allegedly on them.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that, JP. You sent it. Listen, I'm working out my Southern accent right now. Do we want Jovi Ray? Do we want a Southern lady? Which I don't know if I like her like that. But I just wanted to say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And if you can't beat them, join them. So I'd like to say thank you. And I think it's funny. And I love it. Keep it up. That's all I'm going to say. Is that fair, JP?
That's fair.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But no, we have allegedly, and we have We have some dicey allegedlys. In fact, we have allegedlys probably 3 weeks into the future because some of them we can't do yet. So we're just going to pause. But you know what we do have? We have guests for the rest of the week. Well, that's counting on my guest is supposed to come on tomorrow, and perhaps 2 guests tomorrow. Then we have a guest Thursday and Caitlin on Friday. But more than that, we have a tour around Twitter. We have the montage, which is a banger. I have lots of notes written on all the stories JP's put together. But to start off the day, number 1, I have a question. And number 2, we're going to do the words of the day. JP, do we have like a sound effect for words of the day? Kind of like Lost in Space.
No, but I could just do today's words of the day.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, I love it. I love it. Okay, question, everybody. Sound off on this one. Did you watch a good war movie or just a good movie this weekend? JP, what you got?
So I told you that. Well, no, this was actually Sunday. Sunday after church and lunch, I went home and it was raining. And I laid on the couch at the Sinclairs and I put on Saving Private Ryan. And I went straight to sleep.
It's a good movie.
I don't know. Say it's a man thing, but here just D-Day in the background will put you just like right to, it's like white noise. It puts you right to sleep. Just hear all like the the screaming and the it's like it's
you liked that, didn't you?
It was I love that movie. Like that I'm not much of a movie person overall, but that is one that you put it on, I'm locked in, or you can just have it in the background.
You're so much like my husband. By the way, we need to talk about food. And anyway, we'll have to rate that off the air at our lunch on Sunday. So Chris had it movies on. We had the Smithsonian on. For a second, I saw that Fury was on. Then we tried to watch some kind of, we fell asleep to Midway. Okay, the couch got us. Chris's chair got him. The couch got me. But we did watch. So war movies painted the landscape of our afternoon. Sounds like for all of us. We did end up watching not a war movie, but an interesting movie, Project Hail Mary.
I've not seen that.
And that was good. And it made us sit and talk for a while, which we love to do. We started that tradition when we were dating and we watched Mr. Holland's Opus. And so that was a good movie and a good discussion. But yesterday was war movie day and the kids came over and just for a quick lunch and then moved on. But always a good day. The older I get, the more I appreciate the sacrifice. And I'm very grateful for everybody who paid the price so that we could live this life. We do not say that lightly, or we all have family that served. And so we are very grateful for you. Moving forward, though, we do have, and I see that one of our friends is sending us information. So we'll pay attention to some state. Well, actually, it's national news, but it's happening in the state. We're paying attention to that. So thank you, friend, for sending that. Word of the day, my word of the day. And let us know if you know what this word of the day is. It's 2 words, JP. 2 words.
Words of the day.
2 words of the day. They go together. GK. GK. Starts with a G, second letter, second word, K. The definition is a complicated and difficult problem. Do you know what that is? Friends, y'all know what that is?
What could that be?
GK. Haven't heard this. It's a phrase, but they say word of the day. And truly, they gave this to us because they know we're making up for not being here yesterday.
Huh. I don't know.
Iran is a blank blank. Iran is a blank blank. Somebody, Brad from Crimestone, do you know what this is?
I'm sure he does.
Lisa? Bob?
Bob.
At this point, I'm just saying names. Actually, Bob. There's probably a Bob out there. Hey, Bob.
I don't know. I have no idea.
You ready for this?
You blanked me.
This is going to be good. Iran is a Gordian knot.
I've never heard that.
a complicated and difficult problem. Isn't that good?
That is good.
Isn't that good?
I've never heard of that phrase.
So there you go. A Gordian knot is a complicated and difficult problem. Here you go.
I have a great Gen Z word of the day.
Can't wait. What is it?
The definition is to used to describe being noticeably more attractive, impressive, or dominant than others in a given situation. If someone is blanking, they stand out and make others look less appealing by comparison.
Giving.
No.
Main character energy.
No.
Vibe.
No.
Aura.
I don't know if you'll get this one.
What is it?
Mogging.
Mogging? So, okay. Mogging. M-O-G-G-M. Okay. Mog. What's the longer word that mog comes from?
I don't know. I think mog within itself is just the word.
It's a word?
Yeah.
They're mogging.
Yeah. Like,
I've heard Molly use this before.
It's become popular with like some Twitch streamers, but like for example, if you're frame mogging somebody, it's like when you're standing next to somebody, like with guys, and the other guy's got a bigger frame than you. It's like I'm frame mogging you.
Okay, I like it.
Or you could say like you're money mogging, like you got more money, you're money mogging them.
Okay.
Or you're, yeah, that's essentially it.
Ask Siri where the term mogging came from. I'm interested in the origin of the word. Kind of like this is the Scripps spelling bee.
Hey Siri, where did the term mogging come from? What the heck? She said I can use Chat GPT to answer that. What do I have Siri for then?
Siri, you're fired.
I see. This is why I don't use
You're
Siri.
fired.
I just go and what did the word mogging come from? The term mogging originates from the acronym AMOG, which stands for alpha male of the group.
See, I knew it had an iteration. AMOGing, alpha male of the group. So what are we going to be? Alpha male of the group.
That's so funny. I did not know that.
So what is the term used for, since that is a male term? What's the female version?
I don't know. The females could say the same.
Female.
The females can mog.
Fog?
No. Yeah, I mean, it can be fog. I'm fogging you.
Listen, I think mog is better. Okay. All right.
So I
like it.
That's a really brain rot version. That's a really brain rot Gen Z word.
That 100%.
Like that is like skibbity toilet level.
That is, that's, wow, Sigma.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
that you open your fridge and you like twist off the top or peel off the top maybe of yogurt and you're like, ooh, sour cream, and it stayed in there for too long. That's that word. I'm still going to try to use it though, because I think it's a good word.
Abs, we're really mogging the people that thought that a 6-1 2023 map would have been allowed. Like we have intellectually mogged all of the naysayers and all of the plan trusters out there that thought a 7-0 was impossible. Like we're mogging them.
I like it.
By the way, this is one of we're really going down the brain rot, but this was a term called mewing. Like if you were like saying like you had a better jawline.
That's a word.
Yeah.
Mewing, M-E-W-I-N-G, like a cat does.
Yeah. And like these dudes would just get on camera like to try and like flex their jawline.
Come on.
So we're mogging and mewing the 6-1 plan trusters out there.
Listen.
We gotta stop. This is getting way too much.
Stop. Because you know what? The 6-1 map is not a Gordian knot.
No, it's not.
It's actually very simple.
It's quite easy.
I am reading a book by Raymond Ibrahim, The Defenders of the West, starting in about 900. And I'm learning about El Cid. I've learned about Duke Godfrey. I'm learning about Richard the Lionhearted. Dude, the guy named El Cid literally, no, it was Duke of Godfrey, sliced a man in half, and half slid into the nearby creek, and the other half stayed on his horse and rode into town.
That's so sick.
This is the kind of men that we need right now who understood their assignment. Please go read Defenders of the West by Raymond Ibrahim. It is unbelievable. I will be writing about it in the weeks to come. I have to read a chapter at a time, sometimes segments of the chapter. It's so overwhelming what we used to be about and what we used to be like. Please go read that book. JP, I'll give it to you just as quickly as I'm done. It is phenomenal. Actually, I'll buy you the audiobook. It's phenomenal. But the 6-1 map, not a Gordian knot. It's very simple. I'm calling upon us to be like the men and even the women of old. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. I think maybe in the 11 o'clock hour, after talking some national macro, we need to probably break down. Because the reason we're talking about it is that the 6-1 proposed 2023 map has been thrown out because, like we said, that map was also drawn based off of racial gerrymandering, which is the Supreme Court just outlawed. So we were correct. We were right. But we'll get to that.
Hold on. Can we have a moment? Can you say we were right and add like a sound effect?
We were right.
How about that? And so we shall discuss.
And now they're trying to. But
you can't handle the truth.
Yes. Save that, JP. Woo! That was good. Lord. Hallelujah.
Now
was real
you're
good.
Now you're Medea. Is that Medea?
Well, yes. Hallelujah.
Oh no, what was the one of from was it Norbit?
We walked out of
How
Norbit.
you doing?
How you doing?
What was her name?
I don't know. I tried to block it out. I made my husband go. I didn't make him do anything. He's 6'9". You don't make him do anything. He willingly took his bride to see Norbit. And I think we may have walked out of that one. But yes, Eddie Murphy said, Norbit.
Rasputia.
Hello and hallelujah. I would like to say that I'm so glad we are not going to draw the maps based on race anymore. Hallelujah. We're just going to draw it based on the areas. Okay.
Maybe Rasputia is just doing allegedly at one time.
I think, I will do.
You're the one that could do it.
Rasputia. Hey there, doll. Yeah, I'll do that next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Once these things settle out and I go get a good Rasputia, I know she says the Rasputia voice, I'll have her ready. I'll practice in the car. I will be ready.
Rewatch Norbit.
I'm going to rewatch Norbit, and this time I'll excuse Chris Shaver. I'll be like, go do whatever. We'll put down the books we're reading and I'll really dial in. So next Tuesday, you're on. And I'll do it all about the maps. Oh my word. We're going to get canceled.
Can you imagine us like calling out the legislators in a Rasputia voice? That summarizes our show right there.
Listen, it's what Doug Wilson calls the serrated edge. And clearly, if we're not allowed to use humor, which, why wouldn't we? The Lord put a piece of silver in the fish's mouth. Then what are we doing?
There's no point. Because
this is very serious, but we shall use humor to get our point across effectively. See what I did there?
That's good.
That's good. JP, what's on the Twitters?
Well, we'll go to the Twix here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Top one on news. Massey vows to name more billionaires in Epstein files after primary.
I'm sorry. Did they read when he said back when he was gonna read the names? Didn't they already read like 8 names? And this is more names? Or is this the names that never got read in the first place? I'm confused.
I think these are names that didn't get read in the first place.
Got it. Hey, read the names. Good.
He previously named billionaires Les Wexner, Leon Black, and Jess Staley from reviewed files and said former First Lady Melania Trump knows Epstein had accomplices. With 7 months left in office and congressional immunity, Massey faces both praise as a hero and skepticism over past unfulfilled teases amid GOP tensions.
That's fair. Like, just read the names. Right?
Here's the video.
Names
This is
in
good.
the coming weeks and months.
Yes. Todd Blanche is violating the law. There's still millions of files they haven't released. We know from talking to the victims' lawyers that their own 302 forms haven't been released. We know that files have been over-redacted. I have released at least 3 names of billionaires who are implicated in this. I don't think it's possible to get to convictions with Todd Blanche at the top and with the FBI director, Kash Patel, at the top, because they've effectively both perjured themselves by saying that there's nobody else in the files. Even Melania doesn't believe that. The First Lady knows that Jeffrey Epstein didn't act alone. And here's the great thing, Kristen. Whether I'm in Congress or not, the Epstein Files Transparency Act is a law, and it goes on for years. So if we can't get this Attorney General and this FBI director to do the right thing, the next ones who take those seats are obligated by law to release the files that these individuals are not releasing now.
Thoughts, JP?
Well, whatever you think about Massey and this whole thing, if you think this is just a big political stunt, like what he said is technically correct. Like it is a law. Like Congress passed the law and Trump signed the law.
Right.
That gave him 30 days to release all of the files unredacted, and they still haven't. So whether you can have your thoughts on Massey alone and this whole thing, but it is a law, and technically they're breaking the law by not upholding the Epstein Transparency Act.
What were we distracted by when they were going to read the names, and then we had another distraction? Like, it just seems that this is fraught with distractions. And look over here. I am all for having those names read, and I'm all for having the victims of Epstein have their day in court or have their day in public without fear of retribution. The victims are the people we should care about the most. These billionaires, they're never going to be held accountable. What are they going to do to them? They need their money to keep the world running. Oops, did I just say that?
It's true.
Anyway. Okay, what else we got, sir?
Man, Spencer Pratt. He's had some of the most brilliant campaign videos and campaign ads I've ever seen. But Spencer Pratt challenges LA Mayor Karen Bass in tight primary race. Says that he launched his mayoral bid, yada, yada, yada. I think this is just kind of talking about the race altogether. Okay. But I don't know if Spencer Pratt is going to have a chance to win outright. But the fact that he's even like making a threat or a challenge to Karen Bass. Okay, so here's the one that I saw. I want to show you this and see your thoughts. So This was one of his videos he put up. He went to a street and hold on, let me push this break back just like 2 minutes so that we can watch this. He went to this dirty street in the middle of LA and he pressure washed, but he had like he had an outline that said, imagine if the streets were the
Stop.
And it showed here.
Stop it right now. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Like, look how dirty that is.
I mean, this is one of those things that even if you are not necessarily a church attender, you might consider praying and fasting before this election takes place. Seriously. Because what other chance does LA have? There are people past, what I was noticing, JP, beyond the unbelievable contrast between darkness and light there, are the individuals just standing there that they look frozen in place because they're drugged out.
Yep.
Maybe that's just a guy standing there, but I've seen too many images of LA streets with zoned out, bugged out, people. Who's fighting for those people? Karen Bass certainly isn't. What's Kalshi say about the whole race?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's look this up.
Can you believe I asked you that question?
Kalshi
You're wearing off on me.
LA mayor race. Let's see. Spencer Pratt is currently at 28%, but let's see. I think he's right here, so you can look at. He's kind of been making a bit of a rise. He's in the blue.
Okay.
Look, he was at 98%, not like a couple of, or that was in January-ish. But Rahman was up, and then Karen Bass surged up, and then Spencer Pratt has been creeping up. So, like I said, I don't know if he'll win outright, but just the fact that he's even making a push and making a threat and bringing eyeballs to how bad Karen Bass is a big deal. Because it is
what
sad.
A story.
Like LA.
I love LA.
Yeah, is a great American city, and it used to be like the symbol of just American greatness. Like, we go to the very end of the continent, and then when we're done conquering, we just build this great city like LA, and it's just, and it deserves to be better.
Pathetic. Anywho, there's so much more to do today, like the montage, all the great stories JP's packed in. In the second hour, we have allegedly and more. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair, and we are joined by a dear friend of ours. Her name is Heather Davis, and not only has she become a counselor, not only has she written a Bible study, but she's one of the wisest women I know, and she can tell you about herself. We have so many questions for her. We're not going to get to all of them, but the main point today is, how do we deal with a generation of kids that no matter what we do, we seem to be doing it wrong? How do we have hard conversations? How do we broach uncomfortable subjects and not lose our mind doing it? How do we do that? So, welcome.
Hi. Thank y'all for having me.
We're so glad you're here.
I'm a little overwhelmed by the honor and the love. So thank you.
Wow. I'm overwhelmed by the fun. Like, I've heard about Heather for years, and she walked in and I was like, oh, she's one of us.
Yeah.
This is going to be awesome.
Yes.
I think y'all are in for a treat, because I'm pretty sure it will all be said, like, not holding back. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So first, real quick, what's your background, and did you ever see yourself doing what you're doing today?
No and yes. My background is, I graduated from the University of Alabama at Birmingham in '93. Thought that I was going to be the next physical therapist, but apparently statistics are very important in that role. And so I never got an opportunity. Had worked at ASMI with Lee Mack, Andrews, and Rogers, you know, the gods of orthopedics, and realized that the gods of orthopedics bow down to the God of the universe, because he had a plan. He brought me here under the guise of my personal wants and wish list, and he saved me, transformed me, and called me into ministry before I was 25 years old. So it was a, you know, what I like to call a butt kicking in reality and practical theology. So 25 to almost 40-ish, I was on different church staffs here in Birmingham, always around connection, community, small groups. It had this just innate, from the time I was a little girl, ability to hear through the lens of the gospel and love people. And so was counseling before I was ever really into that. Had a horrific marriage, started doing a lot of therapy just to kind of get through what life throws at you. Addictions that, you know, back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, we didn't say the word porn out loud. We didn't say affairs out loud. We didn't say sexual addiction out loud. You know, these type of things were what I was dealing with. And on church staff, that's pretty taboo. So I had been on a staff where they were like, you need to step back and get your house in order. And that really kind of undid me. And the long and short of it is I did a deconstruction of my theology to find out, well, if it's my husband who's sinning and he's the head of the home, how do I get my house in order? And so it really just kind of took the legalism that I had been brought up with. You know, my parents are very good people, very moral. And then I, became Baptist in Birmingham, Alabama. And so I just traded one for the other. And so he really just started to show me what a practical theology was and how do you live out what you honestly believe. So long and short of it, I ended up doing master's program and getting counseling certifications, and now I'm a gospel coach. So my last accreditation is board certified master mental health coach, and I specialize in life recovery, addictions, and neuroscience. I work through the lens of NARM, which is a neuroaffectual relationship model, which basically means the psycho, biological, neurological way that our bodies and brains process. And so it's really kind of cool because that just flows right into theology. Forever, God's been telling us if we renew our mind, we can be transformed. And that's exactly what I get to do with people. So I love it. I know that's pretty heady, but
no, I'm so curious because a lot of people will say psychology, psychiatry is antithetical to the gospel, to theology, to God. But it sounds like you fuse the two. Like God created us, God gave us these mental capacities, He wired us. How do you put science and God together? Because most people want to separate them.
Right. So for me, as a Baptist even, it was very difficult for me to understand the difference between spirit, soul, and my flesh. Okay. And so it took me a long time to get the understanding that, my flesh is the part that has its own proclivities. It has its own predisposition towards typical types of sin. That's my flesh. That's the part of me that makes me human. Then there's the spirit, which is, I was made in the image of God. I'm an image bearer. We're all image bearers, and it's unique in each one of us. That's why we're all so valuable to the kingdom. And then there's this soul. This is the part was so elusive for me. It was just kind of like a mirage. Like, how do I grasp it? And the best way I've figured out how to hold on to it is it's a 3-part. It's your mind, your will, and your emotions. And so your mind definitely includes.
Y'all, JP is a good man. He lets me tell stories in fits and spurts, and he knows where I'm going with them. He just lets me get them out. And I just would like to say to his future wife, you're very lucky. Okay. Because I have 2 men in my life that do this for me. It's my husband and JP. And they're like, no, tell me the story. And I'm like, just hang on a second. I got to multitask, do this, and remember the story I'm telling you, and try to hold it all together. And I don't always do that very well.
I think that's a great skill I've harnessed with working with you now, since my listening skills.
They've really gotten good. Turned up. Anywho, so we're working on something fun with a childhood friend of mine, and he is starting an online, Bobby, I'm going to go ahead and say it, starting an online training business. He's an amazing personal trainer. He's got all this, certifications and whatever. So we might have a trainer for the show, and he might fulfill my husband's wishes that I start lifting really heavy weights, because apparently it's also great for your brain health. And I don't want to get the osteoporosis. So everybody stay tuned on that front. All right, JP. Are we ready for the montage?
Black for News.
Forces target missile launch sites and boats in southern Iran. CENTCOM describes it as self-defense strikes. But earlier today, President Trump said negotiations with Iran are, quote, proceeding nicely, but warns the war could restart if a deal isn't reached.
There is an enormous change in U.S. immigration policy tonight. The Trump administration says any non-citizens in the country who have applied for a green card must leave the country indefinitely, even if here legally, and regardless of whether they have a spouse or children. Then they have to wait for their green card application to be processed outside of the country.
I have my baby in Miami. That's the name of an actual company that is facilitating birth tourism into the United States, where foreigners come in on visas, have children, then leave so that their children can remain American citizens. That's a problem. The American people are sick of it, and my task force on the House Oversight Committee is going after these companies.
Influencer Hassan Piker might be in real trouble for visiting Cuba in March, where he filmed what looks like a propaganda video for the regime.
I'm here in Havana, Cuba, right now on a humanitarian aid mission. My goal here today is to bring awareness to what my government, the United States of America, has done to the Cuban population.
On this Memorial Day, I just ask two things of all of our fellow Americans. The first is that we be the very best version of ourselves in honor of those who gave everything that this nation might be worthy.
JP, why is Hassan Piker still here?
It's a great question.
If he loves Cuba so much, how about let's not let him live out the traveler's fallacy, meaning that you know what this means. You believe that the parts of the country you saw on your, being in a country long enough to take like 7 cups of coffee in, and you've decided you know everything about the country, ignoring all its history, or maybe it's a glorious country, but you still only know the little tiny bits you've seen. But for the Cubans who have been willing to come over here on rafts with fear of drowning, sharks, many of them died on the way. I'm not saying it's okay. To find freedom, that's a whole thing. But it's not because of what the U.S. government has done to Cuba. It's what Cuba did to itself. So I suggest that Hassan just be made to stay in Cuba, but not in the fancy traveler's fallacy part of, oh, this is so beautiful. It's really not, because there are cars on blocks and they have blackouts and food shortages and medicine shortages. I suggest that Hassan just stay there and take him out to the countryside, where the real people live. How about that? That's my suggestion. That's just for free.
Hassan Piker is one of the biggest pieces of left-wing scum out there. He is there's like compilations of some of the things he said, like he wanted the streets to be soaked with capitalist blood. He's just an open pro-communism, pro-socialism. He is as far left as it gets, but he's got a massive following on Twitch with his fans. He also has been on video abusing his dog.
I'm sorry.
He keeps his dog as a prop in the background of his streams, and he's got a shock collar on the dog. Anytime the dog tries to get up from his bed, he shocks it, and there's a video of him shocking it on stream, and the dog yelped in pain. He is a animal abusing leftist scum that is pro-Cuban in terms of going to Cuba and doing propaganda videos. Hassan Piker, we're not a serious nation unless Hassan Piker is in jail. Honestly, that. And here's the thing: is that a lot of Republicans or conservatives have been out against it. Of well, this sets a dangerous precedent. What if the left does this to conservatives? I'm oh wait, you're saying that if we arrest Hassan Piker, that the left would put conservatives in prison and put former presidents in prison and target Christians and conservatives with the IRS, or throw people in jail for speaking out in front of abortion clinics. Are you saying that the left will do that if we put Hassan Piker in jail? Oh, wait, they already did do that. So it's almost like that's going to happen anyways. So but that is the mindset from conservatives of these pro-left people who are openly advocating and propagandizing for our enemies. We're not a serious nation unless there's punishment for that.
Agree. 100%. Again, why is he still here? I mean, let alone, let's just go back to what you said about the dog and the shock collar and the prop. What about all the leftists who care more for animals than they do for humans? You'd think that they would be outraged by that, but I guess when somebody's acceptable to their worldview, then that becomes acceptable. Just, ends justify the means and all. but I didn't know much about him, let alone that there's a whole thing out there called Twitch. Like I don't know. Who knew? There's a lot to keep up with. Okay, guys. But Hassan Piker does not need to be either let out of prison or, if he's still in Cuba and thinks it's so wonderful, back into this country ever. Renounce your citizenship. Try to become a citizen of Cuba. How about that?
Yeah. There's an older video of him saying that America deserved 9/11. His family's from Turkey. He's the nephew of Cenk Uygur. So he was actually born here, but his family is from Turkey, but he's just leftist scum. And by the way, I'm not wanting him arrested for just saying things like that. I think that is just a peek into who he is and what he's about. But yes, if you're doing pro-Cuban propaganda and you're advocating for anti-American ideology, like, yes. And on top of, you probably should just be arrested for abusing your dog.
Well, you should. And there's something else that I found and I saved. I'm glad you just said that. I forgot that I had saved this morning. But he's something. He said also, I've got to go find it because I saved a lot of things for this morning. Hopefully we'll get to our transhumanism conversation. The other thing that Piker has done, I knew there was a reason why my ire was up, was that he made another important admission. This was last night. He also says, and we've brought this guy's name up before, American Marxist pro-China tycoon Neville Roy Singham has funded a political movement in the U.S. So we are finding out information from this Hassan Piker cat. But Piker went to Cuba as part of a convoy organized by nonprofits funded by Singham. Feels treasonous to me.
Yeah.
So, Singham's the guy that pumped $285 million since 2017 into pro-communist nonprofits, including Code Pink, which they're also facing scrutiny. But Piker claims the goal of a probe into his Cuba trip isn't him, but Singham. Except it's him in front of the camera making those statements. So it's interesting that he admits what we've known, that this Neville Singham guy is funding large left-wing groups and events. Let's just call them events. But he does not need to come back, and we need to begin to take prosecuting this kind of crime seriously.
Yeah.
Accountability across the board is dead. It can easily start with this. Not many people would have anything negative to say about putting him in the clink or not letting him back into the U.S.
Yeah, agreed.
So, okay, well, that was a fun way to start. That was a great montage, by the way, JP.
Thank you.
Great montage.
I mean,
All
you
right.
sent me like 3 of the clips, so thank you.
That was in the twilight state of, I think this probably looks good, but I don't know if it'll fit with what you wanted to do today. And then I fell asleep. So I'm glad they worked. I really am. Okay. What else you got? Where do you want to go next?
Do we want to briefly talk about the latest in Iran just real quick?
Yes. All I've seen is that Trump turned around, didn't go to his son's wedding. There's a deal on the table that Iran will not be able to enrich uranium, which, by the way, do you think that his son really wanted his dad at the wedding?
Okay. Can I just say, a lot of people were bashing Trump for this comment. I thought it was hilarious when he was asked in the Oval Office if he was going to his son's funeral or his son's wedding, excuse me, his son's wedding. And he was like, I don't know. I got a lot of important business. My son, I've known him for many years. It's like, that's your son. Of course you've known him his whole life. It's like, I've known him for many years. Great guy. It's like, that killed me.
It's funny.
And all the leftists are like, he said he'd known his son for I thought it was hilarious.
It's hilarious.
He's got a great name, Donald Trump Jr. I don't know who named him that, but it's a phenomenal name.
It's a great name. You've known him his whole life.
That's just so funny.
I thought it was funny.
So yeah, there was a lot of, he didn't go to his son's wedding, and there was he called everybody back to DC, and there was a lid on press in terms of the weekend, like press access. So many people speculated either we're going to have massive strikes or a deal is going to be made this weekend. The only strikes have been self-defense strikes. CENTCOM called it, where they struck some boats that were trying to lay mines in the strait. But the latest I've seen, so if this tells you anything, before the deal was even announced, or any parts of the deal were announced, Mark Levin, Ted Cruz, and all of the really pro-Iran war people were very, very worried and concerned, and were voicing their concern about this deal, thinking that it legitimized Iran too much or let them off the hook. And there was reports that people like Hegseth and Rubio within the administration are really pro just doing more strikes instead of striking a deal. But the pieces of the deal that have been out have been Trump is willing to allow Iran to destroy their enriched uranium themselves. Originally, the requirement was that it would be given to us and we would destroy it or use it or whatever. But Trump, on his truth, he put up a truth post saying that he'd be willing to allow Iran to destroy it themselves with, international people there to watch it and survey it. But ultimately, what's out there is that there would be a gradual reopening of the strait. The uranium would be destroyed. Iran can do that. And then open up negotiations for a potential long-term nuclear deal. There's also been some parts of, apparently Trump is asking parts of the Gulf, like all of the members of the Gulf, to legitimize or to normalize relations with Israel. And apparently a lot of the Gulf countries were not okay with that.
Sir, that's the Abraham Accords, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Or
the Abraham Accord?
The Abraham Accords didn't include all members. I mean, included like the Saudis and others, but there's still other members of the Middle East that are not really for normalizing relations with Israel. So I think that was part of it too. But I think the part that really concerned the Levins and the Cruzes was there were some rumors that Trump was thinking about including Iran in the Abraham Accords, and including Iran, giving Iran a seat at the table at some of these, Middle Eastern, whatever. So I don't know. My thing is, if you're going to get a deal, you got to give something. Unfortunately, it's kind of like with the Ukraine-Russia war. Like, if you want the war to come to an end, you got to that's just part of making deals. So you either just keep going with the war, keep bombing them, and keep going with this, or Iran's going to have to, like, Iran's concession is they're going to give up uranium. Unfortunately, for us to get Iran to agree to something, Iran's going to have to be legitimized to a certain extent. Maybe we should have thought about that before starting the war, but I don't see a way of bringing an end to the war and making a deal without Iran having some sort of legitimization. So that's the latest. There's no deal yet. I think Trump has said he's optimistic about a deal being made, but that's the latest out there.
And so another day passes in the saga with ancient Persia. Okay. Did you think a deal was going to be struck?
I don't know. I was a bit optimistic to see that. I think Trump's kind of at the spot that he just wants this to be over. And
I agree with that.
I think he's getting Iran fatigue, but I think Israel obviously wants this to keep going, and Iran just to kind of be they want regime change. And I think the war hawks of the administration want this to keep going, but I think JD Vance is a very anti-interventionist. So I think Trump is probably just wanting an end to this.
Yeah.
Get rid of the uranium, and then whatever we got to do. I think that's just Trump's goal. If we can get the uranium destroyed in Trump's eyes and the strait reopened, he'll be willing to give Iran at the seat of the table, do whatever he has to do to get that done. But I don't think Israel and others want that.
No, I don't either. And it goes back to something we've said all along, is we do not think the way that they think. I'm reading my book right now. I am full on in, I think, the year 1200, maybe 1300. We do not think the way that they think. The only way to have this over is if we had gone scorched earth. But there's a people group there that want regime change and they want to be free. But the issue is we weren't willing, I don't think, to do all the other things necessary so that they were free. Because when you're still talking about the same kinds of people being in charge, the same ayatollahs, the same family, or the same sort of leaders, even though 86 of them were wiped out at one of their meetings, then we're still in the same place because they're still going to go do the same thing. Do you really think they're not going to enrich uranium? They're going to do what they've always done. Let it die down and then go right back to what they were doing before. They only understand power, and they only understand that if you're going to meet them with greater power than they have, that's the only way they ever back down. I didn't fully understand. I've said it, but I didn't fully understand it until I started studying what I'm studying right now. Yeah. So great. If this no enriched uranium deal happens, great. If, something happens with normalizing relationships with Israel, but we should have decided either we're going to strike and get in, get out, or we're going to have to piecemeal deals. And this is the way it's going to go for the next however long we're on this earth. That's what I think.
Yeah. Well, here's the other part too. Trump and Mike Johnson and others, kind of their talking points now have been, yes, gas prices are rising. Yes, prices are rising altogether. The economy is taking a bit of a hit right now because of this Iran scuttlebutt. But whenever this Iran war is over, it'll go back to normal. And I think Mike Johnson even said, he was at the NASCAR or something this past weekend, and he was on Fox, and he said that exactly of yes, the midterms will be decided by the economy. The economy's struggling right now because of Iran, but by the time the midterms come and the Iran thing's over, it'll be back to normal. So I think that is sort of the timeline. The midterms are in just a couple of months, 6 or so months. That I think is Trump's okay, we need to wrap this up now. We got midterms to win, and this is really hurting us. I think he knows that. And I think he's realized this is starting to turn into a bit of a quagmire and starting to turn into something he just wants to get out of.
Do you think there's any chance after we found out that they were Ivanka? No. Is that Ivanka Trump? Is that her name?
Or his daughter?
Yeah, his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Was a target for assassination.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any chance that this dies down, but before the midterms, Iran decides to go and bomb anything, attack anything, ruin the midterms, since they're clearly for a president who lets them just do their own thing?
I don't know. I think
is that outlandish? Or is that in the realm of possibility?
I mean, I think it's certainly in the realm of possibilities. I wouldn't think it's a high likelihood. I think I haven't looked at many of the details, but what I saw from that was that was an IRGC trained guy, but I think he was like a rogue, like a former IRGC. I mean, it's obviously not out of the realm of possibilities that Iran could have helped have that done, but I think if you're in a negotiating position and you're trying to put an end to the war, that just seems kind of stupid. But that could be. It's not out of the realm of possibilities, but I think they are in a weak position. They're probably not in as a weak a position as we want them to be, but they are trying to get this done. So I don't know. I don't know if they're that stupid.
I hope they're not. We'll see. But I think we all grow weary with Iran. So
I will say this though. I think that's the main motivation is the midterms to get this over with Trump. Because
it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because clearly we'd be in a much worse place can you imagine a President Kamala? I mean, after the victory of redrawn maps, which we will talk about, Alabama's map conundrum in the 11 o'clock hour, you can't even fathom what it would be like. So we do need to think about the midterms, but gosh, you wish that this weren't a part of that conversation, but it is. Iran is, and gas prices are, and grocery prices are. It's all in there. And I hope we do not lose it all because of Iran. We've made gains. And it'd be really sad to see that fall apart. Okay, we'll be right back.
but it's more than just your brain. You've got your subconscious and your conscious. So the things that I say are biblical truths. The things I believe about myself, that mental tape, that's the subconscious. That's your mind. That's the part that's got to be transformed. Then you've got your will, which is, your disciplines and the things that each of us have or do not have. I kind of lack will when it comes to bread, Diet Coke, French fries, ice cream. I mean, there's a list, but my will is very low on those. And then there's your emotions. Well, your emotional state is definitely important, but I was not taught that way. I was brought up in a military, medical, Italian family. Emotions were not things we talked about. You were sent from the table till you could get it in order and come back, dry your face up. So the emotions, that's part of it. Well, what we've got right now is a generation that's led by their emotions. Then you've got, our generation, Gen X, which is totally led by will.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will do what we're going to do because we know. And so those two generations are really clashing. And then you've got the generation that's the mind, and these are facts, and that would be your baby boomers. And so that's where these generations are really struggling, is the way we see soul is so different that we're having trouble determining how do we even communicate about it, and even more so, how do we love these kids and give them the safety and security that they need, because we're the adults and we've been there. And we know what it was like to be raised by people who didn't value emotion and they didn't value will. They only valued trust or truth and achievement. And so we're in that precipice where they all meet, and it's kind of like the rubber meets the road, and we're dealing with it because these kids are not believing what we believe.
Not at all. And is that why? That's just so interesting, that clash of civilization, really. But is that why you mentioned a minute ago, the kids today seem to be so led by their emotion? It doesn't matter what logic you present. It doesn't matter. I mean, even going so far, and you and I have talked about this, where some people will say, well, what is truth? As if it's this nuanced thing that we can create rather than a concrete, no, truth is. Right. We rotate around the truth.
My truth, your truth.
Yeah. Can you talk to us about that? I mean, why?
We talk about the postmodern world, like that's where we're at postmodern. And so relativism is incredibly real. I just had a conversation with my oldest child, who's 26 and in law school. And she asked me specifically, are you okay with the unkind treatment to people who are not citizens of our country? And I was like, help me understand what unkind is. And she goes, Mama, you've got your therapy hat on. And I was like, well, I need to understand your terms, because that's where we're at. Her version of unkind is an experiential unkind. For me, clear is kind. Unclear is unkind. Kindness means I would extend something to you that you have not earned. It's a gift. Kindness is a gift. And she was like, well, I don't think kindness is that way. It's an attribute. And I was like, okay, that's where we're at. We have to define terms with this generation, because theirs is an experiential, emotional thing. Kindness is a character trait. You can't give what you don't have. And so for her, she really struggles, and she's typical. She's a millennial. She is very typical of, if you're not kind and you don't do it the right way, you're wrong. I'm like, where's the grace in that? But they don't have grace because they don't understand it.
Is this across the board? Like, I don't know if there's a little chat group of all the NARM therapists out there. Yes. But I'm curious if it's more pervasive in the South, just the Southern culture. No, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. NARM, the model that I use, is worldwide, and it's kind of ironic, but when we do our Zooms, when you do your trainings, you're on Zooms, there'll be people from all over the world, and they'll say, Heather, and then it'll say he, she, it, whatever your pronouns are, and we'll have people from, one was from China, one was from Scotland, my favorite accent, and she was saying, what is this she, her thing? She was like, and we had to explain, in America, you have to say your pronouns. And the woman was like, what? You are who you are. But in America, it's up for debate. but in other countries, that's not even an issue. They don't deal with it. And so we're kind of in that place where we're making up things.
Yes.
To be upset about, to be offended by, or to draw a line in the sand. This makes you on this side and me on this side, when we've missed the point. We need to go a little bit deeper than a soundbite, in my opinion.
But okay, so how did we get here? Before we move on with, how we handle this, but how did we get here? Is this a social media thing? Is it? Yes, you're nodding.
Well, social media is definitely on the tail end of it, but it's been there before. It really, in my opinion, sociologically, you can go back to when we stopped asking for the third question and teaching critical thinking to our children. I can completely disagree with someone and respect their opinion, hold space for them to share it,
Right.
because I could learn from the other side. There are things I could learn. I mean, I was brought up in a very small bubble. I was born on a military base, lived overseas during Vietnam in a military base in Germany, and watched the way they did it. Troops would come back from Vietnam and they would come to Germany and get safe and healed a little bit more before they'd transport them back to Walter Reed in Maryland. And so that's what my first 6 years of life was seeing what that looked like. It's a very narrow.
Welcome back. I am Amy Beth Shaver with JP, missing our friend Allison Sinclair, and hidden behind my iPad. JP, I broke down and opened a LaCroix. This lemon. It is actually really tasty.
Not a big sparkling water guy myself.
You know who brought me over to the sparkling water side?
Who?
Allison.
I
know.
What's the appeal? You just like bubbles that much?
No, it's that drinking plain water all day gets boring.
Does it?
And, I don't want the osteoporosis, and I exercise, and I apparently am supposed to stay hydrated. And I know bubbles aren't great for you, but I'm just saying, if you need a little pep in your step, they are not sponsoring the show. So after this, I shall not mention them. But it does add a little sparkle to your day.
Stillwater doesn't get, I love Stillwater.
I love water, but JP, it's got bubbles.
That is the one thing, like when we went to Europe, they only drink sparkling.
Sparkling or still.
It's so crazy to me. It's just
sparkling or still. That's how they said it. Is sparkling or still water?
Would you like?
Surely you do not want still water.
Mamma mia, do the still water. Just drink the sparkling water.
Drink the water.
It's bubbles. It's just bubbles.
Bubbles are so good.
You Americans. Mamma mia.
Papa Pia. All right. So, sorry.
Papa Pia. I've never heard that one.
Mamma Mia. From Mamma Mia. And then the second part of the song is Papa Pia.
Oh, that's right. From Bohemian
my
Rhapsody.
Sweet darling Molly. Actually, all my girls love the Mamma Mia series, but Molly really likes it. All right, JP. And down we go on the list. We've done Iran. We've discussed this Hassan Piker. Don't let him back in the country. At the end of this discussion, though, we have more to do on the Have My Baby in Miami.
Okay, so you fill me in on that.
JP. Excuse me. I have to go to the Twix. Not Twitch. Going to the Twix.
Here, do we want to replay the video of Brandon
If you
Gill?
could play that, that'd be great, because I need to go. The article that was accompanying this Have My Baby in Miami was a little bit like, what?
Here, let me.
So yeah, that'd be great.
Let me find the video real quick.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Here we go.
Okay.
I got it.
Here's Brandon Gill, Representative Brandon Gill, who's talking about this Have My Baby in Miami.
Baby in Miami. That's the name of an actual company that is facilitating birth tourism into the United States, where foreigners come in on visas, have children, then leave so that their children can remain American citizens. That's a problem. The American people are sick of it, and my task force on the House Oversight Committee is going after these companies.
Okay, so here's the delightful information. Also, Brandon Gill, I hope you will consider running for president someday. We've got a good stable full of dudes right now. Okay. That are brave and honorable, and I'm excited. All right. This is accompanying Brandon's little reel there. The House Oversight Committee finds there's a company in Florida that is indeed called Have My Baby in Miami. Birthright tourism is a thing. They brought over 2,000 foreigners to the U.S. to give birth. So people are sick of it, but here's what happens. It is a Miami-based maternity concierge service that specializes in helping foreign nationals travel to the U.S. to give birth. Okay. Sure. Their website and marketing explicitly targets international clients, especially from Latin America, Brazil, and more. They say they have assisted with over 2,000 international births in the U.S. But Wall Street Apes tells us it goes even further. Services include, which does this sound like people who are going to leave? Obstetric and pediatric care, logistical support for housing and transportation, visa guidance, delivery at facilities like Mercy Miami Hospital, and postpartum care. The House Oversight Committee says that they found many of these companies, and so stay tuned. This is just, I believe, the tip of the iceberg. But I want to know, how long has this been going on? And what do we need to do to stop it? Because it's existed freely. So, JP, what do you think about that? But it also dovetails into the Trump administration and that separate conversation, but also about immigration and green cards. But first, let's stay here. What do you think about this? And do you think that it's gone on far longer than we even know?
Probably, but this is just another example as to why we have to repeal or amend the 14th Amendment, because the 14th Amendment is obviously the amendment that grants people who are born on U.S. soil, you're now a U.S. citizen. It was created to give slaves American citizenship. It was not like, if the people who wrote that amendment and the Americans and the fathers of our government at the time knew that it was going to be twisted to allow the third world to just come and have birthright tourism to just come to Miami and then have a baby and leave. And then now they're like, that is not at all what the 14th Amendment was made to be. But I know SCOTUS was hearing cases on repealing the 14th Amendment earlier this year. I'm unfortunately don't have a good feeling that they're going to do it. But part of the job of SCOTUS, or the main job of SCOTUS, is to interpret the laws, but also interpreting the laws as to what the people who made the laws in the first place meant for it to be. So if you're interpreting the 14th Amendment correctly, it was, okay, this was so that slaves who post-Civil War could be brought in as American citizens. If you're being truthful and honest, you cannot say that the people and the fathers who wrote that were implying or wanting it to be used how it is now. So
true.
I hope that SCOTUS does their job and fixes this problem with the 14th Amendment. But I think it's just another example of how twisted it is. Like, it should not be allowed, and companies should not be allowed to exist that their whole purpose is to bring foreigners to come and have babies so that their anchor babies could be brought and be birthed in the U.S. Like, that is just so anti-American and should be illegal. And
yet the replacement theory is just dumb, JP.
Yeah.
No one believes in that. Yeah, I found that story fascinating. We talked about it probably a couple months ago, but this is coming to the fore again. And I agree with you. That should not be allowed. I do not have high hopes that the courts will actually use and apply the 14th Amendment properly. But it also, and I know that it wasn't necessarily included in the montage, but I really wanted to ask you quickly about the Trump administration announcing that non-citizens who've applied for a green card have to leave the U.S. indefinitely. They have to wait in their home country or wherever they are for that to be approved. What are your thoughts on this? I think it's a great step. I don't have a problem with it at all, but I wondered what you thought right quick about that.
Yeah, I think that's 100%. Like you shouldn't be. Why should you be allowed to be here while your green card is being approved? Like that just it seems antithetical to me. Like don't bring them in until the process is done, because that's kind of been the loophole of like the process takes so long that they're just here while they're awaiting the process, but they're allowed to roam and be here while their verification process is being taking place. It takes like, why should they be allowed to be here? Because think about if they get denied, how many people who can be here and do the awful things like with Laken Riley and others. I think it's common sense.
I agree. And I'm thinking part of the hard part for Trump is especially for people who are immigrants and want their green card. And it's really the same situation as it is with Iran, which is also a very old problem. Is it's got to be a pain to be the daddy's home guy, where we joked about it when he ran for office and when he was elected for the third time, but sworn in for the second time. You're a little bit like, daddy's home. And we laugh because the movie's funny. And we're like, oh yeah, that image is in our mind. Daddy's home. He's going to handle business. But some of the business he's having to handle by cleaning up messes that should have been handled a long time ago make people hate him. But some of this we did to ourselves, and he's just coming in and fixing it. And this is one of those such issues that I think people will continue to melt down over. I really don't know what can be done in Iran. I don't. But we should have handled that back in 1978, 1979. Handled it. 82 tops. This is the same thing because we had immigration issues even way back when. And Reagan did some really dumb things when it comes to immigration. This is the part where I am cheering for Trump doing things like this. But this is also the part where you're like, that's got to be exhausting.
Yeah.
Because you're the cleanup guy. Like clean up on aisle 7.
Yeah.
There's so much of what he's doing that he is the cleanup on aisle 7.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. The fixer-upper.
Hitting me hard today. So anyway, so bravo, we like to say when we believe something really good has happened, kudos. Also, can we just go back and fix gas prices? Thank you. Okay.
When the Iranian, what was the word? Gordian
or Gordian knot.
Gordian knot is untied, then yeah.
It'll be fine. It's okay. It's good.
Allegedly.
All right. So what else we got on your wonderful montage? Oh, JP.
Mm-hmm.
2 questions. Pope Leo.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about that because we have a few minutes and I pulled a couple of things up because we mentioned it last week, but can you retell the story of, or tell the story of what Pope Leo is calling for? Because here's something we can agree with him on is robust regulations on AI.
Yes. Let me pull up the article here. If y'all remember last week, we kind of had a discussion about artificial intelligence as a whole. And our thoughts on artificial intelligence maybe replacing jobs, or if we thought it was a smart thing to do, or if it was just kind of Pandora's box being open. Pope Leo, this is from Time. Pope Leo has issued the first major theological text of his papacy, a warning about the growing power of artificial intelligence and calling for stronger regulation of the technology. Released on Monday, the 42,300 word Magnifica Humanitas marks Pope Leo's most sweeping statement yet on the promise and dangers of AI, a topic he has repeatedly spoken about in the years since his election. So this is a quote from his piece: calling for prudence, rigorous evaluation, and even at times a slower pace in adopting AI does not mean opposing progress. Instead, it is an exercise of responsible care for the human family.
So I found some things out. I agree with him completely. We're not against progress. My husband says he likes AI for scut work, the work that nobody really wants to do, the detail work, the work that has to get done, that human skills are better spent elsewhere. Totally agree with that. However, when I started looking into this whole AI, and I knew I had referred to Whitney Webb before, and she has some things out, from years ago about AI. But number one, JP, do you know that there is a transhumanist party?
No.
Okay. There's a transhumanist party. That's number one. But number two, I found this from last week. Transhumanism is no longer science fiction. And the reason that this matters is that we're not just dealing with AI and we're not just dealing with a new technology. We're dealing with something wholly other. But I found a description of it I wanted to share with you and see what you thought. Transhumanism is no longer science fiction. Neural data is becoming the new gold rush, and the human species is on the verge of disappearing in the near future. This is what this person's putting out there. It's there's an article. The most influential tech elites of Silicon Valley are openly committing to an agenda that critics describe as a radical transhumanist project aimed at merging the human brain with artificial intelligence. A development that is increasingly raising concerns about data privacy, surveillance, and the future of humanity itself. What once was dismissed as science fiction is now openly discussed by billionaire investors, AI execs, and neurotechnology companies who are investing billions in brain-computer interfaces, the collection of neural data, and the integration of AI in humans. They even have a piece from 4 days ago from the World Economic Forum from a female there giving a presentation, and out of her mouth comes this phrase. She's an ethicist and trained in probably neuroscience as well. One of the questions she said that they're facing right now is, do you have the right to brain privacy? And I was like, that is enough, ma'am.
What does that even mean?
What does that even mean? Exactly. What does that even mean? Because, see, they're so far ahead of us when it comes to the World Economic Forum and AI and technology. We know that Elon Musk's Achilles heel is AI. He is for transhumanism. That is what he believes in. And so they do want to merge AI and the human brain. That's what they want to do. They're saying this is what they want to do. And so this bioethicist and whatever she is in neuroscience, really and truly, you can go find it on the internet. I'll find out what her name is. Brought up this idea that they're dealing with is, do you have the right to brain privacy because of what their plans are for the rest of us? Does that make the hair on anybody's neck go up?
Yes, and it should.
I mean, it sounds insane.
Like it's straight out of a movie.
And there
evil movie.
they are at the World Economic Forum discussing it.
Yeah. Props to Pope Leo for rightfully speaking up on this. We don't agree on every issue, but he is still, even if you're not Catholic, globally, he's considered kind of the face of the Christian faith. So it is important for him to speak out on issues like this. And I'm glad that he is, because it is important. I'm still really anti-AI. AI has done some cool things, and I use AI in targeted, very cornered areas to help me with my work. But I'm not the one that goes to ChatGPT. I still use Google. Like, I don't really care. I'll go to ChatGPT.
Boomer.
Yeah, I'll go to ChatGPT or Grok if I need a very specific, like, layered answer to something. Like, normally it's like from the show. Like if we're talking about a topic on the show and I need an answer. But I AI gives me a bad feeling. And I think that is the Holy Spirit discernment, to be honest with you. Like, if you have the Holy Spirit in you, I think your gut level tells you that expanding AI and making it mainstream to kind of overtake or do whatever is not good. And like I said, I think AI can be used, but opening the floodgates and just opening Pandora's box and thinking that continuing to allow AI to progress is a good thing for society, I don't think that's correct. And I think it is important for Christians because it overtakes your humanity and it twists humanity and it twists God's image into something that it wasn't meant to be. I think that will be the eventual end goal, or where AI will end up if the progression continues like this. But I like his statement that putting guardrails up and being careful about AI is not a lack of progression. It is pro-human and pro-humanity. So props to him. I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know if anything can stop the floodgates of AI at this point. It's in God's hands, but it does scare me and freak me out a little bit, or not a little bit, a lot. I don't like it. Like, what's wrong with human beings? What's wrong with people?
Well, the problem is, and you're right, JP, is that if you look at the Transhumanist Party, and it's small, it's a growing movement that they say they're fighting for the future of humanity, i.e. without God, because the future of humanity, if you're a believer, is eternal life with God. But the Transhumanist Party, this is from their own website, supports significant life extension achieved through the progress of science and technology. That's where it's going to end up. And so I'm with you. In the wrong hands, it is definitely going to be used for I don't even know the right word. Terrifying means.
Yeah.
Because they want to extend life. Now, look, in Christ, your life is already extended. Like, we all have eternal life. You're either going to be spent with or apart from Christ, period. That's already settled. But they're trying to extend your life through technology. How are they going to do that? But remember, in this AI conversation, that's where this ends up. That terrifies both of us. So, fun times. Everybody, just a little light reading for your Tuesday.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Well,
sprinkle it in there.
This was his first encyclical, which...
Okay. What does that mean?
Yeah, that was my thought. Us non-Catholics aren't aware. Maybe there are Catholics listening that think we're stupid, but for the modern Catholic Church, a papal encyclical is a specific category of papal document, a kind of pastoral letter concerning Catholic doctrine sent by the Pope and usually addressed especially to patriarchs, primates, or archbishops and bishops who are in communion with the Holy See. So it's kind of like a proclamation or a teaching document that the Pope kind of puts out for the Catholic Church as a whole. So I'm glad. I mean, Catholicism is still the world's largest Christian religion. So even if you're not Catholic, like Catholicism, that is the main Christian belief globally. So it is a big deal for the Pope to kind of set that precedent and that guardrail for Catholicism as a whole, because it is important. Like, if we're kind of if Christians are behind the ball on AI and are lackadaisical, like, it will overrun us and it will overrun society. And we're unfortunately starting to see that, but it's not too late.
No,
so
it's not. It's not. But I like that it was on the list, and it's a good discussion. And I'm pretty sure we're going to revisit that often, because this is only going to grow in importance in what it's trying to do. Okay. So when we come back, here's what we're going to do. We will discuss the maps and all the things that we can update you on for now, because this has national implications. This is a very big deal when it comes to how they draw maps in Alabama. This is no small thing. And then after that, we have allegedly. So, could we present to you the best 30 minutes of your day in just a minute? Yes, absolutely we could. We've given our best to now, but do you really want to miss allegedly? I don't think you do. Or talk about the maps? Come on. Go take your quick break and meet us back here. All right? We'll be right back.
I thought military, it was like God, country, family is the way I was raised. And that's just not it. So when I came back is a very different world. And so that's what we've got to recognize is people only know how to live from their experience. If they are not taught to think critically and they're not taught to respect everyone's opinions, and not just that the opinion is valid, their opinion can be valid and wrong.
That's good.
Truth does not bend. Truth is a fact. Truth is from God. And if that's not your starting point, you've got to come up with what your true north is, your compass. But if truth doesn't align with my personal opinion, I've got to do business with the Lord to figure out why it doesn't. And what have I set up that I think this is more important? The kindness. Like if kindness is your idol, it has to be done in a certain way. Like my 15-year-old will tell me, well, if you'd have said it nicely. I'm like, child, nice was the first 62,000 times I've said it to you. You are no longer getting nice. And she's like, but you lose the argument, Mom, when you raise your voice. And I'm like, oh, well, that's going to be horrible for me. I'm Italian. I'm like, But that's what we've got to do is we've got to learn how to hold our space without getting angry, without elevating. Because for me, volume doesn't mean I'm angry. Volume just means I'm passionate. But this generation doesn't understand anger and passion. That's why we've got a lot of discord around people getting involved in things they should not be involved in, getting in the way of ICE. And like I have that conversation almost on a daily basis with my 26 to 15-year-old children, how important it is for them to understand they're not protecting these people. They're getting in the way of law and order. And it's a hard concept for them because the social-minded, emotional generation that they're in thinks we have to protect these people. I'm like, who are you protecting? And we have to have those conversations. Yeah.
So do you think then on and still staying with the how and the why, do you think that we're here because of all the concentration of social emotional learning in school without those concrete logical things that we learned? We learned how to think logically. We learned how to think critically, and then it just kind of evaporated. Because it seems to me that from all of the emphasis on social emotional learning, we also have then that spike in 20%? I had the 20-ish% of 18 to or Gen Zs have increased and think they're identifying as LGBTQ. I mean, like these things that they're agreeing to or saying they believe in don't make any sense unless they were schooled and trained in all of the SEL techniques. Is that part of it?
It is definitely part of it. I think there's, it's not a silo. Nothing is happening, independent of the other. So you take that, you take this push towards tolerance, acceptance, and I don't mean that either one of those are wrong in theory, because they're not wrong in theory. But what it introduced, it's kind of like the law of unintended consequences. I wanted to do this, but it also did this. And so that unintended consequence was we muddied a lot of waters. And as we started teaching it younger and younger and younger, these children don't have the structure and the framework in their brain yet to feel safe when we discuss these topics. So that's why we've got so much anxiety in these kids, is because they're handling topics that we as adults struggle to deal with, but we're giving it to them younger and younger and younger. And like my 15-year-old said the other day, well, is he heterosexual because that's all he's ever tried? Or did he try the other and decide he's heterosexual? And I was like, why would you have to try something to decide that is not who you are? And she was like, well, it's an option now. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
It's always been an option. My response to her, it's always been an option. Going outside of what God has made has always been an option. But it's where do you draw your line of, I don't need to try that to know this isn't right. And she was like, well, I just think that's important that people try things. And I was like, oh, okay. Yes, Christian home.
Yep.
And she's still being influenced at 15 by this culture that she's in because she's soaked in it. And she's got a phone in her pocket that lets her Google anything she wants, TikTok anything she wants.
But that's a good point about the schools. I wrote down schools, parents, politicians, social media. I remember we did a talk about SEL and things going on in schools probably 3 or 4 years ago. And there was an example of, like you said, tolerance and acceptance on face value is not bad. But this was about allyship. If y'all remember, that was a big buzzword for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was talking to elementary school kids about being allies with people in their class. And the example was, are you really being an ally and a supporter of your friend when he thinks she's a she? This is elementary school, and wants to come into the bathroom with you. No, you're not. You're not supporting them. So to be a good person, this is what our school, this is in Birmingham. To be a good person, you have to deny yourself, deny your uncomfortable feelings, and allow that boy to come into the bathroom. And so our kids are being just bombarded with that. But it is such a remarkable line. Like I look at my kids sometimes like they're aliens. It's very weird. I'm like, where did you come from?
It makes no sense. Yes.
Okay, so we're not the only ones that feel this way.
Oh, no. I had a personal experience with my now 15-year-old when she was in 6th grade. I'm sure I've told Amy Beth about this. She was not good at getting into her locker, as most 6th graders are not. So she just carried it.
And welcome back. Welcome back. This is The Right Side. I am Amy Beth Shaver with JP. We're having a Tuesday. JP, I'm looking for this thing. And do you hate it when you guys delete all browsing data and then you go back to the places you always go and it acts like I don't even know what website you're looking for? It drives me nuts. All right. So, something. Oh, JP, there's something we didn't talk about before we talk about maps. This is really quick. This 4th assassination attempt on Trump, we didn't really talk much about. Can I tell you what drives me nuts about this?
Please.
Is that even before the assassination attempt, and we danced around it, is that people are now just outright saying that it's just fake, like Trump is doing all these things to himself. What? He's setting it up? Are you that cynical that somebody would try to attempt their own assassination? Why don't we get ourselves acquainted with the idea that there's evil in the world, that there are people who are deranged, and when you do what is right, people want to hurt you for it? No one cared to even come close to attacking Joe Biden because he was a vegetable, and half the time he didn't even know where he was. And so the second that somebody's in office is trying to do the right thing, I wonder what in the world is wrong with us, with all the people out there going, well, that's all fake. That's not actually happening. He's setting it all up. Just had to get that out there because John James from Michigan, he's a candidate for governor on Fox, just went off talking about the 4th assassination attempt and Trump derangement syndrome being a communicable disease, which is hilarious. But tacking on to that, I'm very tired of people saying that Trump just is faking it all. That's what I got, JP.
You've lost the plot a little bit. But also this guy, do you see the details about who did it?
Tell us about the guy who did it.
Well, the detail I saw was apparently he'd been on the Secret Service's radar for a good bit, and he believed that he was Jesus Christ.
What?
So I think this guy's just a bit of a wacko.
A bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
But also I saw, that the press was outside the White House, several different outlets, and the main one that was going around, it may have been ABC, I'm not sure, one of the reporters who was doing a recording, and then you heard the shots ring out and she immediately, hit the ground and covered. There was another reporter though. Gosh, I'm gonna have to go find her name and who she is, but the shots rang out and she literally looked out and looked back at her like producer, was like, what is that? What's that? And the guy goes, it sounds like fireworks. She's like, what is that? It's like you have the survival instincts of a gnat. It's like boom, boom, you're outside the White House at like 4 o'clock or something. on a rainy day and you're a boom, boom, boom. And you're like, what is that? Oh, is it fireworks? Like, really? Seriously? This is funny.
So, yeah. By the way, though, it turns out she's got a good sense of humor.
Who?
She has taken one for the team as far as her response to not knowing that it was gunfire. Have you seen that?
No.
There's a funny side to it. She's actually funny, which is shocking. So I think she's participating in the jokes that are being made right now about her. What is that?
Is that fireworks?
It ain't fireworks.
Lady, you're outside the White House. The most targeted man in the entire world is right behind you. I would immediately think gunshots before fireworks.
I mean, honestly, really? Okay, now, JP, let's talk. Except I got one thing to say about Spencer Pratt in Los Angeles. Do you know this?
What?
Before we talk about maps and you're going to lay it out for us and give us an update. Do you know that my friend Juliana texted earlier today and said, do you know that in Los Angeles, people are using dogs to test their drugs on before they use them to see if there's fentanyl in the drugs that they're about to ingest?
No.
That's why these homeless people have dogs. They're basically like that other cat who has a dog as a prop, Hassan Piker.
Yeah.
They use their dogs as basically the men who used to drink the king's wine, except for he was the king doing noble things. And these people are testing out their drugs on their dogs before they take them. Please, whatever we have to do to get Spencer Pratt to be the mayor of Los Angeles, let's just be part of that.
That's ridiculous.
But I thought that was interesting and horrifying all at once.
That is.
All right. Can you just lay it out there for us and talk to us about the maps? Because we had sneaking suspicions that, well, you just lay out Alabama's map conundrum for us, JP.
So for those who have not been in the loop, there's been a major redistricting fiasco in Alabama politics with the Supreme Court ruling on the Louisiana maps and said that racially gerrymandered districts are not allowed. They're unconstitutional, which has major implications in the South, but especially Alabama, because Alabama just recently, I think it was 2024, a 3-judge panel ruled that Alabama, their maps or our maps were not properly drawn to give African Americans proper representation and forced us to draw a 5-2 map. Well, with the ruling of SCOTUS and Steve Marshall going above and beyond and removing the injunction that we couldn't redraw the maps, bringing it back to the same 3-judge panel, well, we pushed really hard and conservatives pushed really hard for Alabama to go for a 7-0 straight 7 Republican map, which is possible. The legislature decided actually to fall back on the 2023 6-1 map instead of a 7-0 map because it was already drawn. Well, our argument was go 7-0, go all the way, because the 3-judge panel is going to throw it out regardless, because this is the same judge panel that made us go 5-2. But the thing is, SCOTUS, the highest court in the land, is on your side and wants you to draw your maps to have no racially drawn districts. But yet the legislature played it safe, went 6-1. Well, that 6-1 map just got thrown out by the 3-judge panel like we predicted. But here's Fox actually covering it here today.
The plan to use a new congressional map has been blocked by a judge. That could have helped Republicans pick up more House seats, giving the party perhaps an advantage in the midterms. The state will have to use the current maps. At least for now, Alabama could appeal the ruling. Many states have to the U.S. Supreme Court. We'll see whether or not that is the next action taken. Stand by.
What are your thoughts first, Amy Beth, on this?
Okay, maybe our elected officials tried to do the 6-1 map because they thought, well, at least we're trying something. And we're not going all in, and we're trying to show good faith to some of our Democratic brethren. I mean, could there be room for that? I don't know. But I mean, maybe they're like, see, we tried to do 6-1. We tried to appease some of our Alabama citizens. Look, here. See, we didn't go all 7-0. We could have, we didn't. We did 6-1. Except, like you said, that map was drawn and it was ruled to be unconstitutional because it was drawn based on race. Maybe that's their thinking is, hey, we tried. Maybe all along their plan was to do 7-0. But I don't know. Do you think their plan all along was to do 7-0? Do you think their beginning plan was, see, we tried, and they just want the courts to tell them what to do?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, for sure, 7-0 was never a reality of what the legislature was going to try to do. Because if it was, they would have just done it right then when they called the special session. But here's my thing. If this 3-judge panel is going to throw out any map you bring to them that's not 5-2, then why not come to them with a 7-0 map? They throw it out. You then immediately appeal to SCOTUS, who is on your side. The Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, is on your side. They literally bent over backwards to push it back to the same 3-judge panel, remove the injunction. They want you to redraw your maps and to not have any racially gerrymandered districts. But yet, the Republicans in Alabama still played it safe. Brought it. It's now been thrown out. We are now watching if they even will appeal this 6-1 to SCOTUS or not, because they can appeal it up to the Supreme Court. Will the Republicans do it or not? So it would be hilarious. It would be awful, but hilarious if their whole reasoning for not going 7-0 was because we just end up with a 5-2. So we go 6-1 to be safe, and then we still end up with a 5-2. Like that would just be so comical. It would be so typical of Alabama Republicans if that were to happen. But I don't get it. And you know what? The cynical side of me does think that they did this to say that they tried, so that when it fails, they'll just say, well, we tried to go 6-1, 5-2 we'll just have to do. And that would be predictable, but awful and catastrophic and just so typical of Republicans in Alabama, unfortunately.
I just would like to recommend that as we're staring down a trying to redraw ×3, this third time's going to be a charm. Am I wrong? So here we are. May I just lovingly suggest that everybody go buy the book, Defenders of the West. And yes, it's from way back when. But it's when people understood the assignment and they were willing to go to the mat and die for it. And it was for Christendom. But when we see parts of our state failing, and parts of our state are failing, and they have failed for years, are we going to continue to allow our citizens to live in that space and ignore their wants and desires? Or are we going to say for something as shallow as somebody's skin color that we're going to keep on doing what we've always done because we've always done it that way, and humanity be darned? Who cares what they need? Who cares about the drinking water? Who cares about the low educational score? Who cares? We are not racist, and we're not going to dare go and do anything but have a 5-2. So whatever we can do to maintain the status quo, humanity be darned. That's what we're going to do, because it's safe out there. It's safe that way. And nobody has to look bad. Nobody has to fight. Just, we're trying. This is the best we can do. It causes one to lose respect.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose respect. But as I am studying men and women from ages past, I cannot help but lose respect when I look at what we once were. So the bottom line is we're supposed to care about people, and we're supposed to do right by people instead of allowing arbitrary things to divide us like skin color. The enemy of our souls is here to divide, devour, and destroy, not us. We're supposed to be for people. And to not even try, this is the best we can do. What are we even doing?
Yeah. Well, there could be a window to come back and try 7-0, maybe. And I think we potentially could have Catherine Robertson on tomorrow to talk about this, but there could be a window for them to go 7-0 and draw a map and then appeal up. But it's just so disrespectful to, well, not disrespectful is not the right term. It's just insulting to Alabama Republicans who elect in a deep red state like Alabama, who elect these Republicans to represent them and their conservative values. Like the Alabamians who elected these people want a 7-0 map, but yet it's these Republicans, quote unquote Republicans in Montgomery, who will tell you every reason why they can't when they can, and they know they can. But if the panel was going to throw out any map, you brought them regardless. Why not go all the way and go 7-0 so that you can go, okay, you know what, SCOTUS, they said we can't do this. And then SCOTUS can rule on it. And guess what? Boom, we got a 7-0 map. But it's almost like they're putting in more work to not do it. And there's more work required not to do it than the work that would be required to just do it. You call a special session, draw a 7-0 map, push through the protests, bring it to the panel, they decline it, you then bring it to SCOTUS, and SCOTUS, who is on your side, then approves it like that. But like I said, it almost requires more work to not do it and to push it back than to just do it. So I don't know. I don't know if the Republicans are going to appeal up, or would it be Steve Marshall who would appeal it up, I assume, to SCOTUS. Steve Marshall has been a rock star in all of this, so he may be the one to appeal it up. I would bet he would. But it's just funny. Like, it's comical. We can't go 7-0. We'll just end up with a 5-2. And then we just end up with a 5-2 anyways, with a 6-1.
It is unbelievable because it's, as you said, the people want a 7-0 map, and the people in districts that could be better or do better want to do better. They want the opportunity. We need to battle it out in the arena of ideas, but our country is based on political power, period. So if we're serious, we're going to use what we have and do this and be unapologetic about it. But it is hard not to lose hope or patience with this, because this is what we want. Everybody will flourish. Yes, we did horrible things in the past, but that's in the long past. How long will we allow our past to beat us up for the future? How long?
As long as the weak-spined Republicans allow it to. That's the answer.
That is the answer. That's right. All right.
Well, on that note, do we want to get to allegedly?
Allegedly. Yes, sir. Go.
You want me to go first?
Yes, sir.
So I thought about doing my allegedly on these maps and this map conundrum. However, I feel like our discussion just now sufficed for that. However, I do have an interesting allegedly. I don't know if you saw this weekend. The Daily Mail, they did some reporting that allegedly J.D. Vance may be leaning against running for president in 2028. And it's an interesting reasoning as to what they said. They said that allegedly J.D. Vance has been isolated, pushed to the side, put in a corner with his anti-interventionist Iran stance, has gone against the president and others and pro-war hawks in this administration. However, Marco Rubio allegedly may be picking up some steam and some traction and gaining some favor with President Trump and this whole ordeal, and may be the front runner in the GOP in 2028 instead of J.D. Vance. Now, there's also been some rumors in the article that because J.D. Vance and his wife are about to welcome in a fourth child, that he may not want to run. However, it is indicative because Tulsi Gabbard recently just resigned as well. Her husband is having some cancer issues, so that was the main reason. But a lot of people allegedly are speculating that she was pushed out because of her anti-Iran war sentiment. And now it could just be J.D. Vance alone in the administration, and that this may be causing him not to run in 2028. So what do you think about that? First of all, do you think it's true? Or second of all, I had a caveat to it. Do you think Marco Rubio is positioning himself allegedly to be the front runner in the GOP in 2028?
I do believe that Marco Rubio is positioning himself, and I think that everybody knows that with all them memes they've been doing about him and all the jobs he's been taking on, I'm sure you've seen them, that he is going to be the front runner. I also think that JD can see the writing on the wall, and right now Rubio does look like the guy. He looks like the guy. He looks like he has been unofficially crowned. But JD's also pretty awesome, and I wonder if they could run together. But I don't know that JD wants to be the vice president again.
No.
It'll be interesting because we got a good bench. And then you got Brandon Gill. We got some good guys.
We do have a deep bench.
We got a deep bench, and I'm excited. I don't know who's going to really be in the on-deck circle. See what I did there?
That was good.
But I don't know, JP. I just, excuse me, Virgil. I don't know. This is going to be exciting, but I do believe it's probably true that JD's like, listen, I'm going to take a minute because my wife's having a baby and we need a minute. And maybe I'll jump back into the fray. That seems logical. And let Rubio step forth. And then JD comes back in. See?
Well, here's my
all
thing.
did. Yes.
Once a never Trumper, always a never Trumper. If you remember, J.D. Vance was one of the biggest never Trumpers in 2016. He actually compared Trump to Hitler, and he was very, very much openly anti-Trump. Something coincidentally changed, and all of a sudden, he's now a pro-Trump, VP. He's Trump's VP himself. So, however much J.D. can lie or put on a facade to advance his political agenda, I think ultimately deep down, J.D. Vance is not pro-Trump and what Trump is doing in here. Now, I'm not saying people can't change, but for political gain, I could see how J.D. Vance could change his stance conveniently to become VP. However, if he is going to run as president in 2028, he would almost have to run and distance himself from what Trump and the Trump administration did if he's against it, if that makes sense. So it almost would open the door for Rubio, who also ran against Trump, but Rubio has positioned himself almost to gain better from what Trump is doing in Iran and the such. I think Rubio is using this in a much different direction than J.D. Vance to be the GOP frontrunner in 2028. I don't know. We're coming up in 2026, past midterms. It's going to be vying for who's going to be the front runner post Trump. And if my money is on Ambi, I'll put on Rubio. I think JD Vance may be going to the House. That's just that's Virgil's alleged take on this right now. But I thought it was interesting. That was an interesting alleged report.
Well, I think it's an interesting report, and I just keep coming back to we got a deep bench. I do think JD's going to the House. I think you're right about that. I think you've nailed it. I think you're right. Okay. Listen, Virgil, the Alabama maps is in the they all over the Twitters. I was just looking around. And but I did want to tell you a happy story. Okay, I got a happy story. This is from Not the Bee. I don't know if you saw this. It's over the weekend. Just right quick. I don't know if you saw this, but there's Scottish kids. They were 6 to 8 years old, and they were taken on a trip. Beaver Scouts is what they called. It's from Tommy Robinson, and then it was in Not the Bee. But these 6 to 8 year old boys were taken to a mosque. And I don't know if you saw this, but these children were taught how to, let me see, excuse me. This is a mosque founded in 1982, the Central Scotland Islamic Center. And in order to earn their faith activity badge, they weren't taken to a church, they was taken to a mosque. And the young scouts were then encouraged to follow this religious observance. They're in a mosque. This is in Scotland. They're taught how to do all the things. Pray, get on their knees, wear this head thing. I don't know what it's called. And of all these kids, they all did it except one brave boy. And he stood up and he would not bow.
Mm.
And I thought, this is the way. This young man on his scouting trip trying to earn their faith badge, which what happened to go to a church to earn your faith badge? They in a mosque. They are learning how to wear the things, do the prayers, all of it. And they all got down on their knees to practice how to pray. And one boy, looks like he's about 8 years old. I had tall kids. I'm pretty sure, though, this one's about 8. Did not bow.
Mm.
And I would like to say that I was so impressed. It's not a funny allegedly. It's a real allegedly that this young man is very brave. And his parents have been working with him. And I'm real proud. And we need more of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a happy allegedly, although a concerning one because they were taken to the mosque in the first place. But can you imagine, JP, being 8 years old?
Nope.
And having the courage to stand. That, my friends, is awesome. It's awesome.
He was raised right.
He's
That's
raised
good.
right. So real quick, though, JP, I am noticing that Alabama and the maps are all over the place right now on
Yep.
Twitter. I saw that happily. I'm seeing that Ledbetter is speaking out about it.
Yeah, he put up a statement.
I think it's great. Like, can we give some props here? This is fantastic. This is fantastic. So Jay Mitchell is saying this wouldn't have happened if we pushed for a 7-0 map. Barry Moore is talking about it. I saw our speaker talk about it. It's still making the rounds from Fox News. Alex Engel is saying he's posting about it. Like, this is everywhere right now on Twitter. So pay attention. We'll have more of this subject tomorrow. Honestly, we are thrilled that this is happening. I'm not ready to say that we were wrong about our assessments last week, JP. Okay. You know, wondering like why 6-1, why not 7-0? But this turn of events is great.
Well,
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
I still think, like, if you're going to appeal it up, why not appeal it up with a 7-0 and not a 6-1? Because if you remember last time, Ledbetter put up a statement that they plan on going 7-0 before the special session, and they did not. So I don't know. It may be politically advantageous for him to do that now. I you know what? There, like I said, there's a window to still go 7-0. So we'll see if they have the guts to do that. But
I think it's great. We're excited. We did want to tell you that tonight in Pelham, there is going to be a runoff, a candidate forum for the candidates who made the runoff, obviously. And maybe if you're interested, you should go. JP, do we know, it came across my feed and then I lost it. Is it at 6 at the Pelham Civic Complex?
it is. It is at 6 o'clock here at the Pelham Civic Complex. I almost did it in my allegedly voice, but it's going to be a forum with all the runoff candidates. So I put up an image here. It's got Hudson and Moore for Senate, Wes Allen, John Wall for Lieutenant Governor, Jay Mitchell, Catherine Robertson for AG, Corey Hill, Christina McGinnis for Ag Commissioner, Chris Beaker, Jim Ziegler for Public Service Commission Place 2. And then it kind of cuts it off here. I'll put down the ticker real quick. Ben Fuller and Jay Welburn for Shelby County District Judge there as well. So
you know what? If I finish my work for the afternoon, I'm going to be there, but you're probably going to.
I'm going to go and cover it. I'll take some footage of if there's any spicy interactions. Whenever we get to the runoffs, things get spicy. And we're already seeing things get spicy. So I'll be there to cover it regardless. Abs, if you'd like to join me. But yeah, that's 6 o'clock tonight at the Pelham Civic Complex. I'll put up this graphic real quick too before we end it. If y'all want to come, it is open to the public. So y'all come and check out the runoff candidates. This is important, stuff. So come check it out.
Okay. So that's all for now. Tomorrow we've got another banger show for you. Guest, conversation, and mayhem. Okay. So until then, though, make good choices and stay on the right side. We'll see ya.